グリフ。
いかんいかん。まだ大丈夫かと思っていたが、少し溜まっていたようだ。
Mushoku Tensei, Mushoku Tensei. Episode 7. Holy crap. What an episode. The Desert Journey episode. And a lot of stuff to point out here. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was one of the questions that I had, because you have to have it because they've made such a point in pointing out Elinalise's curse, is how are they going to deal with that as they were making a 1 month, 2 month, 1 year, 2 year journey? What's going to be the thing to handle? Is Rudy just gonna have to make is he just gonna have to shake hands with Cliff and just gonna have to make a deal with, hey, I'm just gonna have to take care of business so she's not out there pumping and dumping all over the continent. But that was a question that I had going into it, and Rudy was pretty much like, he's like, yeah, I don't want any part of that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, so that means that Cliff perfected, or his curse blocker is good to go. But no, it wasn't. It was good to go, but it wasn't perfected yet. So it does kind of like really dampen and damper her urges quite a bit, 50-75%, but some of those urges are still there. So later on in this episode, I was like, oh, okay, she was reaching her limits, however that comes to be. And I was like, oh, Rudy, you're up, bro. But no, she went on her manhunting, and I really, really loved that moment. I thought that was like, I personally really laughed at that moment, because Rudy just there, he's just reading a book, right? He's like, where you going? She's like, I'm gonna go manhunting. He's like, okay. And I was like, dang, Rudy, look out for your boy. Now, I know it's not the ideal thing to happen, but if you're Cliff, you have to imagine that you much rather have Rudy be the one handling that, as opposed to Elinalise going and, sometimes she does it in 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes she get a little wild. So I would assume that Cliff would much rather have, one consistent versus however much hunting she's going to do. But regardless, they're keeping their relationship, at a distance, very much. But Rudy did almost break this episode as well, too, which leads me into the second thing. As they were into the desert and the succubus. Ugh, the succubus. So Rudy almost, I guess the succubus emit some kind of like aroma or something to go and get their prey, which totally makes sense. So Rudy was starting to fall into that, he was starting to fall into that aroma, and Elinalise was having some pretty graphic dreams about Cliff. Very nice. But Rudy almost broke and, jumped on Elinalise, but thankfully she yelled out Cliff beforehand, and he was able to he was able to rein it back in. But then he saw, this girl in the distance. He was like, oh, I gotta go get him. But it ended up being a succubus, and the succubus depiction in this world is, ugh. Like, it kind of looks like, it looks like a bat. The succubus look like a bat, but it kind of reminds me of, if you guys have ever seen the Batman series before, there was a villain called the Human Bat, and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, but essentially look like a really just vicious bat thing. And Elinalise is pretty familiar with with succubus and stuff. And she's like, oh, I hate him, and la 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 la. And she puts it down, and Rudy then he tells Elinalise, like, yo, let's get down and dirty. And she makes fun of him big time. Again, another really funny moment that I really love this episode as well, too. The other things like I want to touch on is next episode is the Labyrinth episode. So they've made it to, I guess they've made it to Begarit, or however you pronounce that, the Labyrinth city. And it looks like they took them a little over a month to get there. So we there was quite a bit of time that passed this episode as they were going through the desert. But thankfully they got the hookup, because this should have been about an 8-month, 9-month journey, something like that. But because Nanahoshi revealed the teleportation circle positions to Rudy, he was able to make it there in a month, which I thought was really, really cool. So essentially, through the dragon god or Orsted or whatever his name is, she had sworn to not reveal anything, but she ended up doing it to Rudy because she needs him back because, she's his he's her mana supply. So she helps him out, for a variety of reasons because of all things he's done for her, et cetera, but also because she needs him back a lot quicker. So he gets the the teleportation circle and he's able to get there, and really cool stuff with how they manage that circle as well too, which is really good. So they're able to cut down their time a lot. But I like the relationship that Rudy has established with Nanahoshi. And I guess the very last thing we'll talk on is just the familial ties that Rudy has established with Norn, and obviously with Aisha and with Sylphie. And Sylphie was going through it this episode. She was very emotional with Rudy having to leave. Norn is proud. Norn's a lot closer to him. Aisha's understanding as well too. But I really love their emotional moment with talking about the baby and apparently naming the baby as a bad omen. And I just really loved that scene. I thought it was a really emotional scene. They captured it really well. So, if we were to package it up, another really great episode of Mushoku Tensei, from the emotional familial stuff to finding out about Elinalise's curse, through the Nanahoshi circles, through seeing them travel through the desert and them going through one of the desert cities and kind of having to camp out often and stuff, seeing Elinalise struggle with her curse, seeing her having to go on a manhunt, all that stuff, and then seeing them finally get to their destination at the end of the episode. And I have to imagine next episode will start with them getting in the city and reuniting with Paul and stuff. And is Best Girl going to show up? Are we going to see Roxy? I'm very excited about it. That's the only thing I've been looking forward to so much is Roxy. So hopefully we get to see her next episode. But it looks like we finally made it to our destination, which is really, really cool. So I can't wait to see what happens next. But overall, another 10 out of 10 episode from Mushoku Tensei. I was entertained. I laughed. I was emotional. Like, it hit all the different points that we're looking for within this show. So fantastic episode. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below about this episode. But yeah, what's up next? What do you guys think? Is there going to be some other big monumental moment that happens? Are we going to be able to reunite with Roxy? Is he just going to reunite with Paul? What do you think is going to happen next as we get into the Labyrinth City? And where is Zenith? I guess that's the other thing is to go and find out. But all right, but they've been having trouble, so we got to figure it out. But okay, that's all I have. Make sure you guys hit like before you guys dip out. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a fantastic weekend. See you on the next one. Peace, my friends.